Hey, English 112, Miss Brewer here for your week, where are we at, 10 already? Week 10 video lecture. So this week is actually kind of light in regard to your workload, and that's because I want you to get some sort of feedback on your literature review. So you have a peer edit, and you've gotten feedback from that. And I don't want you guys to overthink these peer edits now. The reason I do the peer edits with you is because you all know the content, you know the assignment. I don't expect you to be a grammar expert or anything of that nature. It's a way to kind of have another student who understands the course and understands the assignment, hopefully, to give some feedback. If someone's way off course, then you can kind of just give them a little note kindly that, hey, maybe check the assignment details, that kind of thing. If you know that you have to have certain headings and you see them missing, or citations. So we're looking at content more than anything else. So don't worry about, am I qualified to do this? You are qualified to do it because you're another pair of eyes looking at their paper in the same course that should understand the assignment, hopefully, in a way that can help someone if they're off course or whatever. So, I don't expect big things. I do expect a couple of comments on the peer review. So, if you only do one comment, that's really not very helpful to the person. So make sure that you are inserting comments throughout where you see. You can make a suggestion, ask a question. If it's confusing, let them know. Okay, that's the kind of thing we look for in a peer edit. So this week, you guys are going to choose a social justice organization to do your final presentation on, which we will talk about next week. So that'll be one assignment. I have a list of organizations that you can start with, but you are not, stuck in that list. So you can do a Google search to find an organization, but it does have to be an organization that does something, okay? So for instance, if, I'm going to open up the website that has the list of organizations, and if I wrote my literature review, let's say on LGBTQ rights or something like that, well, I can see here that they have civil rights groups, and that would work, okay, because civil rights is what we're looking at there. And then there's also a section that says LGBTQ liberation groups, so you can look at that. There are criminal justice groups, legal defense groups. You have disability rights, elder rights, children advocacy groups. So anything that could fall into your social issue will work, okay? Some of these also have some homeless stuff in there. I know some of you guys are doing homeless stuff. Or if you're focusing on homeless veterans or anything like that, you can do a Google search. There are definitely organizations that are outside of this list that do things. So you just scroll through and read about what some of these organizations do, okay? So for instance, looking at civil rights constituency groups, I can't speak this morning, constituency groups, you'll see that they work for racial equality for African Americans, fighting institutional racism, but they provide direct services in the area of employment, housing. So if you're writing your paper on homelessness, this is a group that does something for housing. So you could focus on that if you wanted to. All right, so don't just look at the title. Make sure you look at what they're doing, okay? Because in the description, that will help. So the key is that I don't want people to pick the same organization, okay? So the discussion forum that you guys are going to do is real simple. All you're going to do, you don't have to type anything in the thread. All I want you to do is in the title of the thread, write your name and the organization that you're choosing. That's it. You don't have to write anything in the thread. So when we open up that thread, someone can look and see all of the organizations that have already been chosen. Okay? So if somebody chooses the National Congress of American Indians, all right, then what I would write is my name, Siobhan Brewer, National Congress of American Indians. That's the title of my thread, and then I don't write anything in the thread, okay? Because I want it to be something that you can just glance at. You don't have to open anything, so you can see what other organizations are being done. so that you don't repeat organizations, okay? Because we do have some people who are doing the same topics or similar topics, and I want you to create your presentation on different organizations. So that's really important that you make sure that you do it that way. So the purpose of the forum is just for your information, okay? The purpose of the forum is so that you make sure you're not choosing an organization that somebody else chose. And then you're going to complete the journal assignment to tell me which organization you chose. And that's all you have to do for that this week, okay? Just know that when you go to their website, you're going to need to present on that organization later. So you may want to make sure they have enough information on the website so that you can have a presentation about them. So be aware of that. And we'll talk about the presentation later. So don't worry about that. That's your last assignment for the semester. But I do want you to go ahead and select the organization this week so that we have that to go on. All right. So just so you guys are aware how that's going to work. So you will complete the forum, like I said, and I'll do an example in the forum where it's my name and an organization, which don't worry about. I mean, I'll pick a random one so that hopefully it's not going to be something that you guys will pick, but you could pick it if you wanted to. And then what you're going to do is you're going to write a journal entry, and this is what's going to be your attendance assignment. So your attendance assignment is your journal 8, okay? And you're going to write about the organization that you chose. But here's the thing. In your journal, I want you to say, I'm choosing this organization. This is how it relates to a poem, okay? So tie it back to a poem and your literature review, okay? So if I was working on, let's say, racism in the criminal justice criminal justice system, then I would, in my journal entry, say I chose this criminal justice organization, and it relates back to my topic of racism in the criminal justice organization, and it also relates to the Battle of the Landlord poem because, the tenant was jailed for 30 days and shouldn't have been, okay? So that's kind of the journal that I want you to do. And again, journal 8 is your attendance assignment. And then you are also going to participate, and this is the final discussion forum for the semester. You're going to watch this TED Talk. It's by one of my favorite authors, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. My English 112 face-to-face classes actually read her book, Americana, and we discussed the book instead of doing poetry. And the book is 600 pages, y'all, so you might have gotten off a little bit easier. But anyway, we read that book, and I just adore her. So we're going to look into the dangers of a single story because I think that this really kicks off our final project here with social justice organizations pretty well. And what I want you to do is I want you to answer the question that is assigned to you by your last name, okay? So if your last name starts with an A to a G, you're going to answer question 1. And just in your title, write, your name, question 1. And H through M will answer question 2, N through R will answer question 3, and S through Z will answer question 4, okay? You're going to write a pretty substantial initial response. It needs to be a minimum of 500 words. So we're not doing the 300 words from before. We're doing 500 words, and I want you to be pretty detailed in your response, okay? Now, what I want you to do is as you read these questions and it asks you to give example from the literature, tie it back to poetry, okay? Tie it to social issues, all right? Make sure you're making connections. That's where we're at this point in the semester. We're making connections. So you guys will, by Thursday, do your initial response, and then 2 peer responses by Sunday. The peer responses are the same as before. They should be substantial, meaning that they ask a question, they provide additional examples, okay, they make additional connections, that kind of thing. And the minimum word count on a peer response is 150 words. So please make sure you're meeting the minimum word count. You can always use, examples from the poems, examples from your own life, your own looking at the world, those types of things. So you can pull in those types of things when you're doing your peer responses and even in your initial response, all right, to your question. So we have 4 questions, but everyone's going to answer just 1 in depth. But I would really like it if you read some of the other responses, all right, to the other questions so that we kind of get a good conversation going there. And the forums, really, guys, the purpose of the forums is to get y'all thinking and you guys engaged, okay? And you guys thinking about the topics and the subject and, you know, that kind of thing. That's the purpose of the forum. So you have 2 assignments this week that are graded, all right? So the forum for the social issue topic selection, again, just fill out that, you know, the title, the subject. But then you actually have the discussion forum for the TED Talk that you will watch. And that one you want to make sure you're, you know, detailed in your response. I would suggest as you're watching her TED Talk, having that question in mind, like reading the question ahead of time, making notes on what stands out to you, all right, so that you can refer back to her TED Talk. And then you can also refer to the poetry or your research, your social issue, okay, that kind of thing. So you're going to do the forum, you're going to do the organization choice journal, which again is your attendance assignment, and that's graded. And then the forum for selection is not graded, it's just to help y'all out so you don't repeat a choice. And then, of course, if you guys have any questions, you can always contact me. What I want you doing this week in regard to your literature review is making revisions, all right? By the end of this week, you will have feedback on your rough drafts from me. But do give me till the end of the week, okay? Because I'm catching up on grading. I've been giving feedback to lots of different classes on things. So that rough draft feedback from me will be, you know, format and writing style and those types of things. Use this week to get tutoring, to submit your paper to NetTutor or to set up an LCC tutoring. If you want a live tutoring session, just shoot me an email and I'll do your referral, and you can do it through the LCC tutoring session or you could do it through NetTutor, all right? But get some tutoring on your literature reviews. These are new styles of writing, so it's really important that we put in this extra work of revision. Okay, we take a whole extra week of getting edits this week, and then your final draft will be due next week. If you guys have any questions, please shoot me an email. I'll be happy to address them, and I hope you enjoy the TED Talk. She is one of my favorites. Have a great week.